Welcome back.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Lena.
Wait for later if it's nice to meet me or not, okay?
I was just laughing
Consider
about it. Consider it. Because someone, I don't remember, a guest in the hostel actually introduced it, said actually, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, wow, I haven't done that in a while. Like it feels so formal, the handshake and it was a little strange.
Yeah, it's not here. They don't do it here.
No, he definitely wasn't from Spain. Yeah. Ah, yes, now I remember. It was the English guy I met down by the river today. Yeah. Yeah, it was surprising. And I observed how I felt, that I was, on the inside, I was laughing to myself about the funny things that we do.
It's nice too, to give the hand. It's nice.
Yeah.
I always like that.
As long as, and you can
Not
learn
this
about
one,
the
no, not
handshake.
this one.
No,
No, take it.
no,
Okay.
the dead fish.
Take it. Hello, Nina. Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
That's big shit. If they come half dead.
Yeah, and then if they have cold hands on top of that, ooh. Well.
So I was considering your question about the love of God.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Of or for?
Or for God,
Okay.
no? And so the saying came to my mind, I don't love you because of who you are, I love you because of who I am when I am with you. So you don't know who God is, what it is, where it is, or whatever. You don't have no idea. So to love God in the terms of love as we would understand, that's impossible.
Yes.
Now, you can, if you feel good and you are grateful that you received the gift of being alive on this planet, that gratefulness that later you will show to the creation of God, to whatever comes into your life, that would be your love for God. But it's not loving God, because you cannot love someone you don't know who or where or what it is. But how do you feel? So if you have this God, this creating source in your life, then you are grateful, and you are grateful to that source, and then that's a kind of feeling of love, no?
Yeah. Because for context, my question was, love for God, how do we express it? Because the way that we express love to people, animals, nature is through caring, physical, emotional well-being. But God is not in need of that.
That was Baba Bola said.
Yes.
You cannot serve God, but you can serve the creation of God in his or her or their name.
Yes.
No? Now you talk about you have to become aware of that. No, you don't have to become aware of that. Because to become aware in your terms is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectually, that does not serve for nothing. You have to, what they said about the awakener, no, Meha Baba.
Yes.
That thing has to come into life in your heart, and your heart has to become aware, but that has nothing to do with the awareness of your mind. What normally people think when they use the word, you have to be aware of that. No, that would just be the contrary.
Mm-hmm.
It's something very subtle happening inside, and you live in gratitude.
That's the expression of it.
That's the expression
to live in
of
gratitude.
it. Yeah, and it has no words. It just you
just
feel that
is.
wherever you look to a bee, an animal, or whatever it is.
The golden countryside in
No?
summer. Yeah.
Okay, now we read.
Okay. So last week we read about your journey in the bookstore and of the breaking patterns. Breaking patterns. And we ended it with the paragraph where Ibrahim, the person working in the bookstore, said to you, if you really want something, come here tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. I invite you to eat in a small restaurant, and then we go to a place where the owner, the bookshop owner, meets with his people. Be on time, don't be late. And something else that we didn't comment on last week, but that popped into my mind as I was reading it, was the boss of the owner of the bookstore, Nadine. He was nicknamed Ashki, and that was the name of the dog, right? That you had.
The first Windhund, the greyhound
Yeah,
we had in Germany, his name was Ashki,
yeah.
which means lover.
We made our way to the hotel again. Thanks to Elisa, we found the hotel. I was in a trance, walking on clouds, and had absolutely no idea where I was. The next morning, we had breakfast on the terrace in the company of a couple from Germany who were on their way to India. A young man approached the table and introduced himself. May I sit with you? My name is Dervish Mehmet. Of course, he was allowed to sit down and a conversation began. Mehmet asked the couple about their plans. He told them that he didn't have a passport himself and that they were very lucky to be able to travel. Mehmet then asked whether the young man had completed his military service. The young man denied it and explained that he was a pacifist and had therefore performed alternative service. Mehmet said, "There is a difference between the two of us. You are a coward and I'm not. In my country there is compulsory military service and everyone who is healthy must prepare to defend their country in an emergency. Should war ever break out in your country and they send you to the front despite your alternative service and give you a rifle, you will shoot the first person described to you as your enemy. If I were sent to the front, I would lay down my weapon even if I was threatened with the death penalty. Running away will never make anyone a pacifist. Do the things you have to do when you have to do them, and do not act on thoughts of a future that may never come." In the afternoon, we went to the book bazaar again. A few people were gathered in front of the store, including a man from Canada. We started a conversation and the Canadian told us how we had been talked about here before we arrived. They had said that a young German who was in Konya with his girlfriend would show up. They had named the hotel and also the floor we were staying on. And they also knew about the day we visited Mevlana's grave. It felt like this was the place I had been looking for so much. They knew
Because
everything
they
about
knew
your
it.
journey.
They knew it. So that was what I was looking for miracles.
Yes.
It was not a big deal, they knew it.
And no one makes a big deal out of it either. It's like when we watched the documentary on Meher Baba, there was a brief moment where some of his former disciples or his disciples talked about that he never performed miracles, but being in his presence,
It was something like
strange
he
things would
didn't know,
happen.
or he didn't know, or it would not happen, or he didn't want to do it, but always being in his presence, strange things happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing here.
Yeah.
No, as I say to people, look, I'm not the kind of guy I make like that and fire will come out there. No, it will not. But if you stay here for some time, you will see things you could not imagine that they exist.
That's
And
right.
they happen alone by just being here.
Yeah.
Maybe there are other people who can do that. I don't know. I've never seen that. But maybe there are. I don't know.
Well, going to the healer that we go to, that's in a way a miracle every time. Only that maybe we got so used to it that we just see it as normal. He simply has the gift of, what do they call it, clairvoyance, or perceiving information from somewhere. Ibrahim invited us and our Canadian friend to dinner. Afterwards, it was already night. We drove across Istanbul to a suburb where we stopped in front of an enormous gate. Here was the dergah, the meeting place of the Sufis. Only men were present there. We later found out that the women were upstairs. They looked down at the men through a hole in the floor, a missing glass block. People drank tea and smoked a lot here. Master Metin was dressed in a long striped robe. I was asked to sit next to him.
There he looked more like the spiritual master.
Then
when I saw him in the shop,
yeah.
well, who's that guy? I don't mind about that guy. And then it was more, and all the people around, and then it was more the ambience of a spiritual place.
Yeah. I was asked to sit next to him. Metin only spoke Turkish, and so our contact was limited to offering each other cigarettes. Some of those present knelt before the master and said something. They all seemed to have problems. The master listened.
How strange, you know.
The master listened carefully, said a few words, and the whole room burst out laughing, including the narrator. I was barefoot and sitting on some kind of sofa or divan. A man crawled to me, stretched out on the floor, and gave me a kiss on my feet. I later learned that this was an exercise in losing your sense of self-importance. So that would have been a big exercise because it wasn't even the master.
For him.
Claro. Yes, for the person.
And for me it was fucked up to sit there. As a foreigner I just came in and that guy crawling towards me and kissing my feet. So what was that?
For him that was a bigger exercise in losing his sense of self-importance than kissing the feet of the master. Because that was a master. You were
claro. Mr. No One.
The new guy. Everyone moved into an adjacent room where a ceremony began, with all of us running around in a circle. We held hands and a strange chant began to fill the room, rhythmically, in harmony with our breathing and our steps. Everyone had a white cap on their heads, and I had been given one too. Elisa was upstairs with the other women. During our circling movements, I often looked up and noticed a hole in the ceiling through which the women took turns looking down at us men with huge eyes. I was sure they were looking at me, the foreigner, because I was more preoccupied with the women than the ceremony.
And it was very fun. These were glass stones, like 15 by 15 centimeters, and there was only a hole in one of the glass stones. It was not a missing stone. So you could only see one eye looking through that.
And so they also only could look one at a time.
One at a time and with one eye. Not 3D.
My cap fell off my head into the middle of the circle because I was more preoccupied with the women than the ceremony. Now I didn't know whether I was allowed to pick it up or even had to. As I was thinking about this, one of the fellow dancers bent down, picked up the cap and handed it to me. Very late at night, around 4 in the morning.
So it's all that you are unable to be you. You are in the ceremony and you are wondering, I should pick up, I shouldn't pick up, what I have to do.
What is allowed,
No,
what is not allowed.
go and pick it up if you want to pick it up, and if not, leave it there to be trampled. Well, so where's your problem? Decide, no, because what kind of impression I had to give? No, so it's all self-importance, it's all ego.
Claro, yes. Very late at night, around 4 in the morning, Master Metin came up to me and asked, in perfect German, "Do you have someone who can accompany you to your hotel? It can be dangerous to wander around Istanbul alone at this time of the day." Yes, we had Ibrahim who took us back to the hotel. I still wonder today whether the master spoke to me in German or whether I understood his Turkish in my language.
Yes, it happened later, here, that a woman called here, because her sister asked permission to give my telephone. And she said, well, but it's a problem. My sister only speaks French.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, just for to say hello, I can speak 2 words in French,
Mm-hmm.
but so give the telephone. And she called here, and then she was talking maybe 10 minutes, and she stopped in one moment and said, what is that? She was talking in Spanish. I don't know how to speak Spanish. And I said, go on, I understand you perfectly. And then it happened again in the concert with that little boy talking with my girlfriend. And he was French. And the father came and said, oh, it's a big problem. I lost him because he cannot speak Spanish. But he was speaking Spanish for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or yes, but what we don't know is whether it's the person really speaking a different language or whether it is
no,
the
in that
listener
case we know
perceiving.
the person was speaking a different language. In the case with the Nadine Baba, I still don't know if I was so far out
in hypnosis
that
and
I
trance.
understood it, but he was speaking Turkish,
Yeah.
or he was so far out
That he spoke
talking in German. So I don't know that.
Yeah. We visited this derga on several days for 2 weeks. On the last day, just before we said goodbye, I saw an older man putting on his coat. The man looked over at me and his gaze pierced me to the bone. I was impressed by Master Metin. However, this man filled my heart with love and hope in an instant. This was Kemal Baba, the man I accepted as my master years later. I was asked to write a few words in the guest book. I don't know what you are doing here, but I ask God to bless you for what you are doing. Were the words I left there.
Yes, that's the same. I don't understand, I mean, the love for God. I don't know who you are, what you are, where you are, or what all that is. But I felt so well there.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't know what you are doing here, but I ask God to bless you for what you are doing, because I feel okay here. I don't understand what you are doing. I have no idea. It's not the new age, I can feel your energy and all that big shit. No. Simply, I felt at home.
At home, yeah.
At home.
That's what a lot of people coming here into the hostel feel, perceive. They feel good. Why? The reason for it?
No, they don't know.
They have no idea.
No. But God knows why you feel good if you are grateful, because God would say, claro, of course, because I created you to feel good.
Yes.
You will never know, but they know.
We went to the bookstore again.
You have not said anything about my wonderful T-shirt. Because now summertime is here and I have to put on some Hawaiian. Now I'm a Hawaiian cowboy. Okay.
Yeah. With the signature black shirt, but some color popping out. Yeah. So green is okay.
Green is okay.
Green
I have
is
a
okay.
blue one. One day I will put it on, even if I'm not so okay with blue. But
Yeah.
Little-
Yeah, it is warm.
it is warm.
It is
How
warm.
warm is it today? 38
It is so warm that we are feeling warm.
But we are feeling warm. Okay.
I don't know, 35 maybe or something like that.
Okay, go on reading. So it's not 38, it's 35, no? Huh? Huh?
But where does 38 come from?
I just said
Oh,
it's
I'm sorry, I
38.
didn't
You
hear.
see, you do not even listen. And then you come up with your own thing. No, listen first.
38.
38, not
Yeah.
38, no?
Yeah, in here, for sure. For sure.
Yes, because I asked Google how if it's warm today, that's why I'm feeling warm.
That's why you're wearing a summer shirt.
Claro.
Okay.
Because Google has to tell me. My feelings are over, I don't feel anything. It's Google telling me how I have to perceive life now.
If it's warm or cold.
It's warm or cold, it's raining
If you
or
need to
not
take a
raining.
jacket or not.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. If it's full moon.
Thanks God we have that thing
Yeah.
telling us how to behave and what to do in our life and how to feel.
It's very helpful
It's
sometimes.
very helpful. Very helpful. Okay, go on.
We went to the bookstore again. this time to definitely say goodbye. We were asked when and where we wanted to travel. To France in 2 or 3 days was the answer. Master Metin gave each of us a medallion with an Arabic inscription and asked us to never lose it. Metin was one of the masters mentioned in Reshad's book. That's Reshad Field.
The book I was traveling with. And we met one of the masters mentioned there.
Yeah.
Without knowing the name, without knowing the place where. But they confirmed it. They said, yes, we know Reshad, he has been here, he wrote the book and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. We said goodbye. And 2 days later, you went out with the book. Saying, okay, we can follow this book by the names and the places there and then just hope that maybe we see them. It wasn't until you realized that Reshad had changed places, the names of places and people. So then in reality the book in that sense wasn't helpful. So until you let go of the equivalent of Google, after
it was helpful because what was real in the book, I mean the book is real, just changed, they changed the name. But what was not changed was the place of Rumi. That was written and we went to that place and there it started all. I exploded in front of the tomb and then it was pong, go to the shop, pong, pong, pong. It happened simply alone. So it was not in vain.
It wasn't in vain.
No.
But it was without the conscious mind.
It was not how you would think it should be, no?
Yeah.
Just, I follow this and then no.
We said goodbye and 2 days later we were standing at the Greek-Turkish border waiting to receive our exit stamps and our passports. Just then I felt a hand on my shoulder. I looked around and there was the man who had kissed my feet. You see that green car out there? Your last chance to return to Istanbul. No, we were determined to go to France to attend one of those summer camps in the Alps again. Ooh, more nettle soup.
The nettle soup camp. But I mean, what was that just in the moment? I gave my passport. The guy was standing there from customs service to give the stamp that I'm leaving. And he said, look at the car, the last chance to go back.
Which is also was an invitation, no? In a way?
What?
An invitation.
Claro.
Come and stay.
Claro. No, they wanted us to stay. Before when we were talking, they said, look, we can find a flat for you. You could go to university, study Turkish. We had time, we had money. And we said, no, we want to go to France to eat nettle soup. I mean, we didn't say we will go tomorrow or after tomorrow. Maybe next 3 days we will go. And just in the moment when we were standing there, the hand came up.
Yeah.
Coincidence.
Coincident.
And we said, no.
So they perceived
so then
something
you
about
later
you, right?
understand that many people just need more time. From that moment on, I needed 7 years to go back. I even went back to Istanbul, but I didn't went to the Derga. I sent some friends there, but I didn't went. They were asking for me. And they said, well, he's in Istanbul or whatever. And no, there was something. I needed to be beaten up by life to accept, finally say, oh, I do that or I go.
So they recognized you as someone who should be
Before
part
I arrived,
of their order.
They knew. They knew.
Someone would come, a German would come from Konya.
But they were not that, it was just that Hansel, look, the car. If you want to go back, no. Okay, have a nice journey. And when I came back after 7 years, there was this master, a Turkish man living in America. And he looked at me, I knew the man from before, and he looked at me and he said, so you lost 7 years? And I said, well, maybe, but also maybe I needed them. Life had to put me through all these situations to break down and finally say, well, my only chance to stay on this planet is to go there.
probably not audible on the video, but out there is a bird that is making the sound that one of the flutes makes, the ocarina. Yeah, and for a moment I thought it was on the music.
And what you make in the circle, which means God, but without sexual definition. It, the thing, but it's a word for the creator.
Like the source.
From the Sufis. Who?
Yeah, who?
Talk there.
Listening. One more question.
Huh?
One more question.
Ask.
What is it that held you back from, well, staying or going back earlier or
My
visiting
girlfriend.
the Jaga again?
My girlfriend. Never trust a woman. I tell you.
You could have
Don't
left
do
her.
that. No, it was my girlfriend.
She said no.
She said no.
Because this is Islam or
Because of some experiences we had. For example, we were traveling in Egypt, and she was half Greek. She looked quite dark, no? And she was wearing a blue, dark blue dress. And we were standing next to the sea on a beach, and suddenly we felt stones flying by, and one stone nearly hit her head. And an old man came out of a door and saved us, said, come in here. And he invited us to his home. So it turned out that he said, you, this tall guy, blonde, and that girl, the dress she had was a sign for that she was coming from an oasis called Shiva. And these guys, young guys, these Muslim guys, they got angry that the American, that was me in their eyes, took a young Muslim girl from that oasis. And later she told me, when that happened to me, the story for me was anything linked to Islam was completely closed, was over. I didn't want.
Something similar happened to me in India. I was traveling with a friend, and we were going in a very Muslim place in Allahabad, which is close to Varanasi. We were walking there through a park, and young Muslim boys started to throw stones at us. First it started with small little pebbles or pieces of coconut shell, something. And then it became worse and worse, and we really didn't quite know what to do. And an old man came and he said, you too, follow me. So, and he brought us all the way out, back to our motorbike so that we could leave. And it was, well, just because this friend of mine, though he is Indian, he looks like a foreigner. So for them it was just two unbelievers in the park where there was a tomb.
I remember walking through Cairo on the street with her, and someone throwing a half-eaten apple into my face. I remember Iran, people spitting at us, supposedly believing we were Americans, because for the Muslims normally, in Morocco it's not like that, but normally that's the devil. It's like America, it's the devil, no? So yeah, if they see that and believe that, and maybe once they would get to know you, they are very friendly people and they invite you and they do everything they can for you. But with that concept, they learned, like for us, maybe the Russian people. No, Russian is our enemy. And now you have the hostel here, and a lot of Russian people coming, and they are the most wonderful people, or Ukraine, or whatever, everything is fine. No? But if you receive that doctrination, then you believe it.
For me, on being on the receiving end of it, there was a moment where I was scared because the group of people was becoming bigger and bigger. First it was young boys, then it became older boys. I was really worried and concerned, what would I do? But afterwards, for me, well, there were them, and then there was the old man. He was also a Muslim, no?
Claro,
but
claro.
he saved us or helped us. So for me, it was not a question of rejecting
Mm.
something.
Yeah, but I remember that we were talking about that, but much later, and she said, "No, that was a moment when I said, never ever I want to have anything to do with these kind of people."
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
the summer camp in the Alps, it was also Sufi.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly that man was a Muslim
Mm-hmm.
from Pakistan, but it was very open. I mean, it was for Europeans, and there was no teaching of prayer or Ramadan, all these things. There was just holding hand and chanting mantras, and so that was much easier accessible for Western people than with maybe he himself he had the religious background,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't show.
So the camp
The kind-
was more about the mystic side of it. Okay, I continue reading.
Yeah?
I continue to read.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
The border between Turkey and Greece is a long bridge over a river. The border officials of both countries meet in the middle of the bridge. The Greek took my passport in his hands and looked at me seriously and with a penetrating look. I found it difficult to stop myself from laughing. The soldier read my passport upside down. Or rather, he read nothing.
Looking at me, the passport looking at me. Yeah, of course he couldn't recognize the photo, I suppose. Yes.
But you had learned by then that laughing at government officials is not a good idea.
It could not be a good idea.
To enter Greece, cars must pass through a bath of disinfectants, as Turkey, the arch enemy, is of course a dirty country. Once again in Kavala, we decided to take a trip to the nearby island of Thasos. We took a ferry across, a beautiful green island. We booked a room in the first small hotel for several days and began to explore the island. We were the only tourists at this time of the year. The next day, the owners of the hotel asked me who my companion was. They said that Elisa looked familiar to them. When Elisa told them what she knew about her Greek family and her grandfather, these people began to cheer, took her in their arms and said, "We knew! We saw it the first moment you arrived here yesterday. You are part of our family. Your grandmother lives over there
In Kavala.
in Kavala." Wow. But for some reason,
I mean,
Elisa,
she was a quarter Greek.
and they
No,
could see that.
the mother was German, the father was German, but the father had one grandfather that was Greek, so she was only a quarter Greek, and they saw it immediately. And yeah, you are from our family.
But for some reason, Elisa didn't visit her grandma. Just that.
She didn't want. That was quite stupid. I mean, maybe we could have had such a wonderful time there, being accepted as Greek. In that
and
live in
experience
Kavala and meet people. No, she didn't want.
Well, at the border with Yugoslavia, a businessman invited us to go with him to Germany. The man was Greek. He was in a hurry to get to Germany, and since I had a driving license, he was interested in taking turns driving with me. The man was very trusting and slept without any concerns while I drove his Mercedes. In Yugoslavia, we reached a hotel in the middle of the night. The parking lot was empty. All the room keys were hanging on the keyboard. When we asked for a room, we were told the hotel was full. Nobody wanted to work. Proof once again of the benefits of living in a socialist or communist society. After 2 days, we arrived back home in Germany.
In that time, it was really not nice, these countries. Maybe, well, most of them today, they changed. Maybe even today you go to Russia, it's much more open, it's different, it's much more modern and nice and clean and blah, blah, blah. But in these times, that was a nightmare. We went with a ship from Istanbul to Egypt. It was a Russian ship. and everyone on the ship, they were forbidden to talk with us because we were Western Germans.
Ah.
They were forbidden. We were sleeping in the same cabin. No, they couldn't talk with us. The only guys we met were some black people. They were living in the embassy, working in the embassy of Moscow, and were going back to Sudan to make holidays. And they invited us then to their luxury apartment there,
Yes.
and we were laughing with them and talking, and one of the guys said, I mean, what do you want? Why are you traveling? What are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for God. And he asked, where you go to? I said, well, we want to go to Egypt, and then to Sudan, and then to Kenya, and then to take a ship to go to India. That was the plan. And he said to me, okay, I give you my address. In Sudan, you don't have to look. I looked already. God is not there. But if you would find him, you send me a note. It was very funny, these black guys. But the only ones who were able to talk to us. And they talked to us about Russia in that time and said, look, we have a circle of 40 kilometers around Moscow where we can move. Not more. And we are from the embassy. We cannot go nowhere. If we want to go for a holiday somewhere, it is much easier to take a plane to go to Paris than to travel in Russia. It takes months to get that permit, or you
Russia
never
or
get
the
it.
USSR
Russia, yeah,
overall.
claro. So that was really different at that time.
Well, I just have fond memories as a child of the GDR. Or funny memories in a sense. One is that we were bringing painting books for children, like paint books or sweets and bags for my cousins or something like that, other children. And at the border, before crossing the border, these things were hidden under my children's seat, and then I had to pretend to be asleep, so that hopefully
they wouldn't find them.
They wouldn't look, because they wouldn't want to wake a sleeping child. So that is what I remember. Apart from that, it was, well, also as children, we were sent into the cherry tree fields to take cherries, which of course wasn't, I mean, it was common property, right? It was not for people, not for the people. Yeah, but I have lovely memories. But
as a child,
it was wonderful. No seat belts in the back of the Trabi, the Trabant. Cobblestone roads, which made nice.
Yes. Like riding horse.
Yeah. And then I remember going to, well, just after the border opened up to
Czechoslovakia?
Czechoslovakia? See, I never know, what is it, Czech?
I don't know.
Yeah, Czech Republic, I mean, whatever was the Czech, no.
We have to check it.
Yes. And this was one of the few places where we actually could eat in restaurants all the time because it was so cheap. Yeah. Those were the experiences as a child that I made.
I remember going to Berlin.
Yeah.
And you had to go through DDR.
Yeah.
And you could only stop here or there.
On that highway that went
highway,
through,
some gasoline or restaurant. And I remember that food there. And everyone, I suppose, they did not like it because it was very simple. But that was wonderful. That was maybe half €1 or whatever, one meal. Yeah. And you could eat there, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, as a child, you remember. It's different. If you would take a little child now living there in Morocco, for example, as a little child, you don't have the idea to go to Europe, to cross the sea, to become rich in Europe. No, you are playing there with the plastic bottles or whatever, and you have a good time. Well, then later, then you start to question everything, and what as a child.
Another thing I remember is that one of our relatives was working in a factory. They were manufacturing ropes, all sorts of different ropes, amongst others also plastic ones, and also from cotton, from different materials, and that's what we used to have at home in Germany for the garden, for different kinds of work, and they are the best quality. They are still today. I mean, this is 34 years ago or more, they are still there and they still are perfect and strong. Yeah. Okay, enough nostalgia for a day.
It's okay?
Yes.
Finished for today?
Yes.
Okay. Good then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.